Mila is 1. There's only a single thing you remember from today. Remember that in terms of this glycemic index, Mila is 1. Pasta, 60. Coca-Cola, 75. White bread, 100. It's only 1. The next point is the problem with the glucose load. It's a tremendous actual load on your system. Tremendous. Imagine someone going up Mount Everest with a little day pack. Now imagine them going up Mount Everest carrying the kitchen sink, a stove, and all their furniture on their back. This is what happens to your system. As you load it up with glucose, it's straining. Your blood sugar is going up. It's trying every which way to get rid of that blood sugar, because eventually it will be dangerous. It will put you into a coma. So it says, let's store it as fat. Let's make more and more insulin. And of course, this makes you sicker and sicker. Now here's the key point. Most of us as dieters, most of us trying to lose weight, go, oh, well, high glycemic index. I don't have Coca-Cola. I don't have sweet desserts very often. I have a completely moderate diet. I'm fine. And that's where you're wrong. Because it's multiple servings of a moderate glycemic low carbohydrate that increases the risk. And I'm going to show this to you step by step. Here's the baseline. 100 is the glucose load that's the maximum you want for a day. Anything over that, you're at terrible risk of obesity and diabetes. I have a Starbucks bagel. I'm at 25. I had a whole wheat pretzel. Sounds perfectly reasonable. Now I'm at 53. I add to this a brown rice cake. Sounds like something dieters would have. Now I'm up at 81. I add a whole wheat pancake. I'm at 109. White rice. Sounds reasonable. 139. Mashed potato. Another 30. I'm up at 169. And then in sequence, I'm going to add a whole wheat spaghetti, rice noodles, angel food cake, and cornflakes. It all sounds perfectly reasonable. And the interesting thing is if you take the average middle-aged woman in the United States and you look at her risk of diabetes, it's having just 4 or 5 of these foods a day. That's it. It seems reasonable, but the glucose load is staggering as to how high it is and how much strain it puts onto your system. Now, let's look at a low glucose load. What can I eat for a diet? We've just seen the Western diet. Now I'm going to show you the Aztec diet. Sweet potato, 17. Black beans, 14. Sweet corn, 9. Tortilla, 4. Amaranth, 4. Cashews, jicama, guacamole, peppers, and of course, Mila at just 1. Now look at the difference. I have a total score of 58 instead of 298. Look at what I've done to my system. Look at the load I've taken. Now I'm going up, now I'm running up Everest with just like a wallet or a purse as opposed to having the kitchen sink on my back. So if you only remember one slide, remember this one. Here's the glucose load. The Western diet, 298. Staggering. The Aztec diet, just 58. This slide is the one I would remember for the year. White flour, 66, Mila, 1. Anytime you can substitute Mila for white flour, look at what you've done in terms of your glucose load. Now what I want to do is to concentrate on inflammation. So, in our bodies, let's say you fall and stumble. You have a little inflammation, or it's red, it's hot, it's tender. But inside your coronary arteries, it should be nice and pink and elastic. But as you get inflammation in there, it gets red and hot, tender, and if you look at it with a very highly specialized ultrasound device, it will look like you have pimples in there. They'll be red, they'll be yellowish, they'll be ready to explode, and when they do explode, you drop dead of a heart attack. So throughout our bodies, with this Western diet, we are just a battleground of inflammation. It causes cancer and heart disease and stroke and obesity and diabetes. And the other thing that inflammation does is inflammation affects how we feel. That is, it affects our overall mood. It can lead to depression. So what a lot of people don't realize is that we're causing the inflammation with the foods that we eat. High saturated fat, obvious. The omega-6 fatty acids, any oil at all. You have a safflower oil, corn syrup, any of that, terrible. Too low in omega-3 fatty acids, not enough olive oil, and of course the high glucose load that we just looked into. Now of course we know that the whole food that has the most omega-3 fatty acids is most likely to change your ratio is, of course, Mila. What you may not realize is that foods themselves are inflammatory. Here you have a pancake. 0 is where you want to be or above. Anything below 0 is inflammatory. Pancake, minus 51. Cornflakes, minus 72. White bread, minus 89. Spaghetti, minus 141. We had white rice, tortilla, white flour. We have a score now of minus 1,328. Staggering in terms of the inflammation. Crippling amount of inflammation. If you have ADHD, it's going to be that much worse. If you're depressed, it'll be that much worse. If you're almost going to have a heart attack, you'll probably have a heart attack. So, what most people don't realize is you can have anti-inflammatory foods. Foods that basically cut that inflammation dramatically. Pinto beans, add some taro from Hawaii, cilantro, amaranth, cashews, beets, and of course Mila. Look at the score for Mila. Anti-inflammatory of 77. That gives me a total score of 176. So I want you to just focus on this slide right here. And I'm going to ask somebody what this means. I'll tell you first. Here's the Aztec diet, 176. So 176, that means anti-inflammatory. Western diet, minus 1,328. So, daily recommended amount of anti-inflammatory foods, you want to be 50. One single serving of Mila, and you're already at 77. Look at white flour in comparison. One serving of white flour, minus 421. You wonder why people feel so good the first time they had that very, very first scoop of Mila? Look at what it's done to their inflammation. It's already put them above that minimum level there. Now let's fix somebody's diet. Here you have minus 1,328. Let's add one serving to Mila. You're down to 830. Let's add a second. You're down to 386. Let's add a third. You're down to 122. Let's add a fourth. You're up at plus 96. So you can see the amazing difference in power of Mila in terms of inflammation. So those are the two key principles. One is glucose load, and the other is inflammation. We'll get to these slide decks. I think they're amazing in terms of being able to show people what they need to do with their diet to really be able to be as healthy as they possibly can. Now, I usually give a talk on being your personal best. And in that I talk about being an optimist. I see in so many of you a tremendous amount of optimism. Optimism has been studied, and we know that with optimism, those people who are the most optimistic are those who are the most religious, believe it or not. And it's why when you look around and wonder why that is, that they're the most optimistic and the most powerful, that they have the least amount of chronic disease. But with this, the right kind of exercise, nutrition, and whatnot, in the end, you're all going to feel so much better. You wonder, what will I do with my life? You want to be a hero. You want to be a hero like Jimbo and Sherry in terms of our world vision. I was just out in Africa. I was in Sudan where I brought Mila down with me. We're now starting to grow Mila there in Sudan. We start to grow Mila in Haiti as a way of being able to help children there who are poorly nourished and don't have enough protein. But we are all part of really two world visions. One for the disenfranchised around the world in terms of trying to build a bigger life for them. But you also, each and every one of you is a hero. When someone comes up to you and says, "Why do you look great?" and you say Mila, and you share Mila with them, don't think of it so much of a sales opportunity. You're doing them maybe the best favor anyone has ever done for them in their entire life. Their depression vanished. Their weight falls off. They feel terrific. They look terrific. And the best sales tool of all, people will come up to me and they go, "Bob, you look terrific. What are you doing?" "Mila, can I get some?" "Sure." It's a 5-second transaction. So in any case, this is one of the most amazing opportunities any of us could ever have. It's a food that I've totally fallen in love with. And as you can see here from the science, it's staggering what you can do to each and every person you touch with your ability to make them healthy and give them a great, long, active, phenomenal life. Thank you so much. Wow.
So, yeah, Can somebody turn him off?